Hi everybody, hope you're doing well today. Today I wanted to talk about leaving a relationship. What does that mean? Well, interesting enough, today I did a session with a client that I've had many times, and I hadn't seen her in 2 years. When she came and she was in the waiting area, she glowed. She never looked more beautiful. And I said, wow, you look beautiful. You are in such a great place. And she goes, Susan, I am. And she's screaming, yeah. And I just said, good for you. So she came into my office and we were talking, and she said, I was in the relationship with so-and-so for 8 years. Guess what? I said, well, obviously you're not with them because you never looked this good. We started to laugh. But you know what? It made me think today. It made me think that this was long overdue. He wasn't for her. They were never married, but they lived together for 8 years. And she's a middle-aged woman, so I can't say that she's 19 or 20. But you know what? She stayed with him because of a lot of reasons. One, because she was afraid that she couldn't make it on her own financially. Two, this is all she knew, even though she knew it wasn't a good functioning relationship. Well, he was there, I don't know if I'm going to meet somebody, blah, 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 blah. And then COVID hit. So she lost her job. She was working at a bar, and she couldn't, she says, well, I didn't have a job, so I met up with somebody. And now she said, and this is a partnership, she says, we flip houses. And I said, well, good for you. And I know how creative she is, and I know. And she's doing things that a man does, ripping out tile, knocking down a wall. She says, Susan, I've never felt more exhilarated. And I said, so all that was keeping you was fear? She says, yeah. And I go, you want to say that maybe that COVID was a blessing for you. As bad as COVID is, it's interesting of how COVID is changing people's lives, some for the good and some for the bad. In this case, it changed her world for the better. She lost her job. She was in a loveless relationship, and then all of a sudden she made the decision that she did not want to stay with this man. Then she meets somebody else, and they're not, it's very professional. She's not seeing him in that way. She works with him, and everything started to fall into place for her. She says, I have more money than I ever dreamed of. I'm doing something that I love. Energetically, I am constantly recharged, because every time I saw her, her energy was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I would even sage her in my office, okay? And I just was so happy to see love for herself. Very important. Love for yourself. No, that does not make you selfish. She rescued herself. Long overdue, but she did it. It was 8 long years, but she did it. So it brought me to talk about this topic. Like I say, I learn from all of my clients and from spirits each and every day, and I'm grateful to all of you, even the spirit world up there that teaches me so much. There are different reasons why you leave a relationship. Sometimes you have no choice and you have to, because it's it's an abusive relationship, and you just have to get enough in you to say no more. And you have to know when you say when, you're going to hit me for the last time. It could be just a loveless relationship. You have nothing in common anymore. It's just getting the nerve to do it. Many times people just want the physical companionship there, even though there is no companionship. Okay? You're like 2 roommates living and sharing a house. But is that going to be enough for you? Can you see the next 30 or 40 years with this person? And I often say that to my clients. And you don't have to answer it to me. Just think about it. Can you be with this person, living the way you live, for the next 30 or 40 years? Monumental, this comes to them. And they're like, oh God, no. Well, there you go. So I'm not pro in leaving people, because I really believe you really should try to fix it, do therapy work, put the work that you need, because there's some really good relationships that just got stale and it needs a reboot, like a recharge, like you do your phone. But for the ones that you have tried and this person just simply not going to change, doesn't want to change, and you're just coexisting to pay the bills together, Really think about it. Think about what you're settling for. Think about what you're making room for. You're making room for disheartenment, sadness, blockage. Energetically, you're handicapped. Think about it. There are different reasons. I see people that leave and they needed to leave a long time ago, and you know what? They needed to do it. It was hard, but they did it. But it's what you take away from the relationship, good or bad. You know, I was talking to somebody and they said, you know, I made sure what I went through in my other relationships, that when I got involved with my future wife, I was not going to take what these women did to me. There you go. There's your lesson. Setting the precedent, setting the boundaries. So sometimes we have to meet the wrong people in order for us to get it right with the right person. Okay? So when we leave relationships, what are we leaving? Not just the person behind, but what we need to learn for us. It's very important. It takes courage to make things work. Whether you leave them, whether you stay with them. The real courage is the work that you're going to put in, not with just that person, but into you. 9 out of 10 times I see people that put the work into their children, into their spouses, but they have no room left for them. How are you going to be your best self if you can't re-energize yourself? Okay? Remember that. So yes, relationships, they come and go, but your self-worth, build on that. Don't be afraid to love yourself and to change for a better person. Okay? So sometimes settling and being the good person, even for your children, think about what you're even showing them. That it's okay to live in dysfunction. The last thing you'd ever want for your child is to think dysfunction is normal, because they too will find dysfunction as a pattern that you set the precedents. Remember that. So if you're in a relationship and you really love this person, try with all your heart to make it work. Both of you sit down and find some kind of an agreement to try to move forward together. But if you can't, there's a reason to. It's not failure. If it didn't work and you tried, you can feel sad. And I always say it's a hard thing when you have to leave a relationship or you lose somebody. I always say it's an amputation without the anesthetic. It hurts. But keep the faith of why you had to do what you had to do. All right? I hope that this helped. I hope that this gave you maybe more reasoning just to even think about it. Okay? Subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Facebook, and keep the questions coming. I do try to address each and every one, okay? Until next time, think. Think real. Think with your heart, but think with your mind, but think with your soul, because that's the most important thing. Your soul is everything. Don't break it. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye.